what's up, and welcome back to my channel. Yes, the background is back. I apologize if me standing up is distracting, but I literally only have two chairs and a mattress right now because, as you might have noticed, I moved. And last time my furniture literally took, and I'm not even exaggerating or anything, over 2 months to arrive. So for over 2 months I was in an empty house. This has been in a suitcase, so it's all wrinkled. I apologize. I'm going to try and normalize things as much as I can, but there's only so much that is in my control, much to my deep-seething rage. But anyway, today we're going to talk about a Snapchat series, which already kind of automatically makes me shudder because the only Snapchat series that I know of are two, and one was the Nikita Dragun one, and then there's one called Love Don't Judge. Love Don't Judge immediately gives me weird vibes because a lot of the stuff that is on there that I've seen has been taboo. So if it were like Love Don't Judge and it said something like, hey, don't be a racist, don't shit on interracial relationships, I'd be totally for it. But in this case, the judgment is always about something that is either taboo or predatory, that I'm kind of like, you know, this actually might be concerning, like this actually might be worthy of some level of critique. I've said this before, but I'm gonna say it again. Critique and hate are two distinctly different things.
I can't keep her hands off me. She get me aroused, I'm telling you, it happens so often. Lord, yo. When we started making TikToks, we opened up to each other, we got closer. We get like 10,000 hate comments a day. They call her a zombie, the Walking Dead.
How can you date your grandma?
It got to a point, I was like, hey, they all think we're lying.
Yeah, let's do this if we had to. Everything we do is proving them wrong.
Hey, baby.
Hey.
You look good.
Thank you.
This is Karan. He fell in love with Cheryl.
My very first job, her son was my boss. She would always come up there and get food and speak to everyone there.
After 8 years of friendship, they found love through their mutual interest in TikTok.
When we first started making TikToks, we would probably see each other once a week or twice a week. We opened up to each other, we got closer.
So, I think that right off the bat, you guys might guess what my problem is here. He met her when he was 16, and she was already in her 50s. Now, this is not me being ageist. I'm all for people finding love later on in life, blah, blah, whatever. But if you're gonna befriend a 16-year-old, which I already think is a little bit strange, if you're not doing it in terms of a grandmother, like making a new family member, creating a new chosen family, if you're not doing it in that way, for me it's very hard to see how it's not immediately predatory. Because if the reason you are talking to this 16-year-old, doing these TikToks with the 16-year-old is not because of like, you have some fellow kinship, something that makes you think of a niece, nephew, grandson, granddaughter, someone related to you, what were you thinking when you saw this 16-year-old? And here, the age of consent, to me, frankly, doesn't matter as much because I still find it predatory. Here, though, you gotta wonder what the motives were because after 8 years of friendship, they got together. It makes me feel uncomfortable just because it's hard to imagine that if you actually had intentions of making a chosen family in terms of, like I said, grandson, how would you let it get to the point where you fall in love with basically a kid who is probably younger than your other 7 children? You see where I start to feel uncomfortable here? And also the fact that they felt the need that they had to prove that their relationship was real. It's like, isn't that unhealthy too? Like to go to that extent to be like, no, it's a real relationship. Like I understand it would be frustrating for people to think you're lying about who you love, supposedly. But I don't know, I don't find it healthy either to kind of die on the hill of trying to prove things are right. Like people will talk shit no matter what, regardless.
I asked her out and I caught feelings first. She gave me this dream. I woke up and I was just aroused and I told her about it. We decided to make it into a relationship because we're both happy. The more affectionate of the two of them, I can't keep her hands off me. She get me aroused, I'm telling you, it happens so often. Lord, yo.
The couple became TikTok famous, with the likes of Snoop Dogg reposting them.
Snoop Dogg posting us was amazing. That was absolutely beautiful, like twice. Cried real tears. That really put the icing on the cake, because that's when they started realizing in our town that we were a couple. And that's when hate came for real.
Onlookers have judged both Karan and Cheryl for their age gap relationship.
To be that broken record ass bitch, let us swap the genders. I am willing to bet a big amount of money that if this were a man in his 50s that met a young 16-year-old girl and they became friends and then they started dating allegedly when she was 24 and he was 61, would everyone's opinion still be exactly the same?
No, God!
So again, we have the gender bias that I'm always screaming about. But in this particular situation, it's being framed as just like hate, and granted, some of the comments she gets, unwarranted. But within those 10,000 hate comments they get a day, I'm willing to bet that there are comments that are just like, this is predatory. This seems like a weird kind of twist of events that you happen to befriend a 16-year-old to make TikToks, and then at some point you get into a relationship and you're just open to that without thinking of like, okay, does this 16-year-old have enough experience and enough of understanding of what being predatory is, what potentially grooming is? Do they understand? And for the most part, not to say 16-year-olds are dumb, but for the most part, when people are being groomed, they don't know. That's why it's dangerous, because you only realize it later.
Between me and Cheryl, we have over 1 million followers together and 20 million likes, and we get like 10,000 hate comments a day. It's horrible. We can actually pull some up right now. He's trying to collect that insurance money. When you married the cast from The Walking Dead, don't be rough with her. You will break her bones. The most hateful stuff, it'd be like, they call her a zombie. You're dating a corpse, necrophiliac.
How can you date your grandma?
Do members of the public stare when you go outside?
Oh my God.
Yes.
Everywhere.
In public, we don't receive no hate like that. Like, behind the screen, you ain't got to worry about it. You can hurt her feelings and watch her cry, and it'd be okay.
And who gets the worst comments between the two of you?
Me. The negative comments affect me horribly sometimes. They make me cry. I can't handle some of it. A lot of this stuff is so hurtful. My self-esteem, everything. It's not a good feeling at all. I'm trying to spread positivity. Like, a lot of kids love us and stuff.
Now you guys can let me know if I'm in the minority with this kind of thought, but as much as I don't support hate comments, it's also like, you did something that most people would find predatory. So people's number one concern will not be your feelings. Does that mean they should insult your appearance? No, because that's never productive no matter what. But I'm saying that if there's someone people would be more concerned about in this relationship, it would be Karan, because he was the 16-year-old when you were already a well-grown adult who was more than double his age. So when they comment like that, when they harass you, you have to realize, I don't know what's in anyone's head, right? But when they comment like that, you have to realize it's because many people, I'm sure, see you as a predator. So your feelings will not come before that of a teenager. It seems like that's something that's not really parsing. And like I said, commenting on someone's appearance, never useful. If you're going to critique someone, make a good point and say, hey, this is predatory, this is potentially grooming, whatever you want. But the appearance stuff is just unnecessary. Then again, we know that unfortunately the internet, once you're out there for better or for worse. It's a shitty reality, but I think we've all come to terms with that to some extent.
And you can't spread positivity when there's negative attacking you back to back. Sometimes it gets rough doing that, but I still do it.
You can't judge my relationship.
Some members of Cheryl's family have also not been accepting of her relationship with a younger man.
I have a problem with my family, like my kids. I have 7 children, and some of them are not with me right now because they're not behind me. But I'm not gonna let that interfere with my relationship. They're all grown. All I ask for them to do is stick by me. That's it.
My mom actually likes Cheryl. My siblings like Cheryl. Like, they actually enjoy her because they know she makes me happy. You ready to make some TikToks, baby?
Yep, I'm ready. Let's go.
How do you react to some people who believe the relationship is fake?
Prove them wrong.
The other thing I have to say is that it kind of shocks me that Karan's family would be so okay with Cheryl because, again, sorry, but let's flip the genders. You have a daughter, she's 16. Suddenly, a 50-year-old man approaches her and wants to be her friend, and then after being her friend for a while, they get into a relationship. First of all, if that were my daughter, I would be watching this man like a hawk. I don't think I would even allow my daughter to be around someone that has that big of an age gap unless they were family, and even then, we all know that family is not, outside of the realm of possibility as groomers, as abusers. So the fact that Karan's family is okay with it also makes me question their judgment. And like I said, maybe it's because he was a teenager at the time, and so since he is a he, then it's less concerning than if it were a she, because again, there's the gender bias. But I cannot conceive of anyone I know being okay with their kid just hanging out with someone so vastly outside of their age range and then getting together. I can't conceive of it.
Everything we do is proving them wrong.
It got to a point, I was like, hey, they all think we're lying.
Yeah. Let's do this if we had to.
If you had a message to give anybody who doesn't agree with your relationship, what would it be?
You will never find happiness if you spew hate. So we're happy. You can't stop us. The love is always going to be here. So we're going to continue to go, regardless of your opinion, if it's good or bad.
Yes. Amen.
It's not just us. It's other interracial relationships, other couples who have age gaps. And we stand up to show out, hey, anybody can find love no matter what the age, race, or color.
Love is blind.
I find it interesting that they touch on interracial relationships because they don't really talk about it prior. And I think that is a valid discussion to have. I think the number one thing people notice here is not that it's an interracial relationship. I think the first thing people notice is that there's an age gap, and then when you know more, it's the predatory nature of all of this. So it's interesting to me that they only brought the interracial relationship later on. Also because I just don't think it's comparable in the way that there's nothing wrong with an interracial relationship. There's nothing predatory of an interracial relationship. What is predatory is if you are around a 16-year-old boy like that, and if he happens to be of a different race, that's not a factor here. So making this kind of comparison of love is love, and it's like, well, it's a little bit more complicated. Love is love is being used a lot when there are these strange, groomy, predatory, allegedly type situations. And I don't like that because it's not comparable to even a lot of the times I see why can LGBT people be together, but this is different. And it's like, this is apple and oranges. There is no comparison whatsoever. Anyways, guys, you can let me know what you think in the comments down below. Do you think this was predatory? Do you think this is entirely above board? Do you think that if Karan had been a teenage girl and Cheryl had been a grown man, this would have been the same? If you guys can let me know. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you to my patrons as always, and I'll catch you guys next time.